This is the lore, chat. The lore of the evolution of elves. Wait, this is elves. I want to know the whole lore, though. Still logging out, I guess. Oh, can I mute real fast? Yeah.
Hi, Nobbel. Can you please make a video about the differences between the elves, Sindorai, Keldorai, Rendorai, etc. Love your videos and thank you. Hello everyone.
Hello.
The evolution of the elves. That's something that we discussed many times on stream, and always the list, it seems to be incomplete. Always we come up with more examples, so thank you very much for the suggestion. I'll do my best to list all of them and see what exactly happened to the elf evolution. Now if you think that I missed any of them, then by all means let me know in the comments down below.
I thought World of Warcraft made elves evil, or blood elves. I think blood elves were kind of paladin-like in Warcraft 3, no?
I really did my best. Hope I got them all. The Elves evolution tree. That all starts with the Dark Trolls, and sadly it's unexplained where the Dark Trolls came from. What we do know is that they found a way to the Well of Eternity, a fount of arcane magical powers, which the Keepers had created to patch that wound that was left behind when they ripped out the old god Yasharaj. Mesmerized by their discovery, the Dark Trolls settled along the Well of Eternity's shores. Over generations, the energies radiating from the lake, it suffused the trolls' flesh and bones, elevating their forms to match their graceful spirits. They transformed into highly...
Nah, man. This is bad writing, chat. Bad writing by Blizzard. Doesn't make sense. I'm not buying this. I'm a denier. This is just bad writing. Lazy writing is what you call it, chat. They couldn't think of anything like special, where they're like wisps, and they like humped a tree and became a night elf or something. That's even better than what they're explaining right now. A troll turned into night elf over time? Nah, dude. So when I'm walking around Zandalar, you know, they're gonna be future elves or what, chat?
Intelligent and virtually immortal beings. These former trolls, they gradually abandoned their ancient heritage and traditions. The tribe's mystics began worshipping the moon goddess Elune, who they believed was bound to the Well of Eternity itself. They claimed that the deity slumbered within the found steps during daylight hours. The former trolls also discovered the name Kalimdor and other Titan-forged words from communing with Elune and investigating the strange artifacts scattered around the well's periphery. Influenced by this newfound language, they started to call themselves Keldorai, Children of the Stars, also known as the Night Elves.
Hail to the night!
The Well of Eternity, it gave them great power, and in turn, they built up a massive empire. Now within the Night Elf society, there were some differences between the elves. Some were more powerful, wealthier, or had a bigger
Dude, this set was so cool. That's a Kata set, right?
Influence, and they called themselves the Highborn, or Quel'Darai, meaning children of noble birth in Darnassian. Amongst the Highborn, we have the Queen Azora with her advisor Savix that would research the depths and the powers of the well, eventually making contact with Sargeras and the Burning Legion. They decided to use the fount of power to create a massive portal and bring the Legion into the world, but not all the elves were down with Azora's plans, so a resistance rose up. The War of the Ancients played out, in which the druid Malfurion, he takes out Xavius. His spirit is then picked up by Sargeras, who isn't exactly pleased with his failure. The spirit is tortured for a while, until the Lord of the Legion decides to get some use out of the elf, and he transformed him into the first of the Satyr. I have decided that there's a place for you. I have looked into the darkness within you, and I found that which once pleased me. I make it the core of what you are to become, and in doing so, make you a far superior servant than you were. You must be reshaped. The legs bent back at the knee and ended in cloven hooves. Like the legs, his arms and hands were covered in thick fur,
I don't mind
and
this
his
one.
fingers were now long and clawed. He felt his face mold differently, and he sensed the bent horn sprouting from his forehead. He's then sent back to Azeroth, where Xavius the Satyr goes around transforming others, luring them in with promises of power. With great effort and sacrifice, it is possible for them to restore to their original form, as was shown in Ashenvale. Others, they've been turned into the so-called Crystal Satyrs, or those that stuck with Xavius when he became the Nightmare Lord. They're known as the Shadow Satyrs. While some Night Elves rose up to form a resistance against the Queen, others decided to hide themselves away. With the use of the Eye of Aman'Thul, these highborn Night Elves, they created a Night Well, a source of power which allowed them to shield their city and keep them safe.
It worked. Centuries passed.
What was this place called, chat?
Without moonlight.
Ah, this place was so cool.
Without sunlight.
It's like a
To
main
survive,
city. Surumar.
Return to the night well,
Surumar was
a
cool.
font of great power in the city's
Really pretty
heart.
place.
Slowly, changed us.
Centuries would pass without moonlight or sunlight. They turned to the night well to sustain them, which evolved them over time into the Nightborn, also known as the Shal'Dorei. When cut off from their source of power, when they're cut off from the well, like when they're banished from the city, it's not really healthy for them. First, they'll turn into a Nightfallen, desperately searching for any source of magic to sustain themselves. With the fruit of an Arkandor tree, this state is reversible, and many years ago, we had Nightborn exiles that found a way to such a tree with its caretaker Veilwalker Ferodin. He took
Damn,
pity
I
on them.
remember doing
He
the
gifted them with
quest
the tree,
here.
and for a time, it actually sustained them, and they
Oh
were
my
safe.
God, this is
But that
so
would not last, as the
old.
Arkandor became unstable and died. In a flash of
so
wild magic,
old.
the elves' bodies were twisted, turning them into the Feldorei. By the time that we come around, we give it another go, and we do
Oh my
make a stable
God.
Arkandor tree. With the fruits, we can cure the Nightfallen from the
I
night.
don't know what it is. Looking back at the quests, they were pretty fun. Even the BFA thing I just did, that was a lot of fun. I remember doing this, man.
Well, addiction, but those that are unable to, that fall further down, they become known as withereds.
Do let me know if you find more. This hunger is consuming my very mind. It is taking every ounce of my energy to just...
I think I played the most WoW in Legion. It might be the most I played in my life, I think.
Can you hear me, my friend?
Until end of Legion.
I cannot see you anymore. I think... perhaps it is time to say goodbye, then. Thank you, my friend, for letting my last few hours mean something.
Hands.
At the moment, there's no coming back from that state, and the once proud Nightborn will have lost all of what they once were, being driven by a maddening hunger and haunted by the memories of the past. During the Expansion Legion, we saw Elisand lowering their shield and actually teaming up with the Burning Legion this time, with some amongst their people embracing the Fel. This turned their eyes green, and their skin became lighter with a green taint. They are known as the Felborn. The Fel, it has the power to cure the Nightfallen, but it will keep them hungering for more power. Now back in the past, Queen Azshara would lose the War of the Ancients, and the Well of Eternity was destroyed. The sundering of the land that took place, to which her palace was flooded with water, and in her most desperate hour, voices started to call out. There is a way. You become more than you ever were. We can help. You will be more than you have ever been, the
I
voices
remember
promised.
this,
And when the
too.
time comes for what we grant you, you will serve us well. The old gods offered her a deal. She accepted it, and the queen, as well as those that were with her, they were transformed into the Naga. A fleece of scales now shimmered over their skin, tails thrashed against the currents. The male versions, they are more thickly built, with some even in hulking forms, while the females, they resemble more of the Kaldorei from whom they came. Their faces fair, even beautiful.
Yo, I know people hate this place. I loved the underwater questing zone in Kata. I have a good memory of this. I remember I got up super early before school at like 4 a.m. to play a little bit before I go to class. And I had a blast. And then you get like a little seahorse like walking fast under the water. I liked it. It was pretty new from everything else.
With some having snakes in their hair.
For Najatar.
Many years later, some amongst the Naga would decide to ally themselves with the Burning Legion, embracing the powers of the Fel, and they became the Fel Rage Naga. Then, 700 years after the War of the Ancients, remnants of the satyrs and demons that were still left behind, they would not stop their fighting, and the War of the Satyr played out. During this, some of the Night Elf Druids, they decided to play around with their feral pack form, something which was forbidden by the teacher Malfurion. It was an unstable form, even he himself could not control it, but they wouldn't listen, and they lost themselves to the beasts. They attempted a ritual to try and control the pack form with the Scythe of Elune, but rather
Wait,
than
they could turn into a wolf? Oh, Worgen?
control it, it transformed them completely into the Worgen as we know them today. Salvation was impossible, so Malfurion, he was forced to use the Scythe of Elune to banish these
It's a
Worgen to the
forbidden
Emerald
jutsu.
Dream. Shapeshifting is not uncommon amongst the Night Elf Druids, and while they can control other forms, their time spent within the Emerald Dream, they can actually transform their body. Take Malfurion for example, he has antlers growing from his head, indicating a stronger connection to Druidism, a blessing of Cenarius. While some Night Elves, they're actually born with these antlers, Druids like Brawl Baremantle. This is something which they saw as a sign of great abilities, of being able
I
to
hate this model. That two noodles coming out of his nose looks so bad. Do you guys like this model? I hated both of these models.
do great deeds. But Malfurion, he also has elements from the birds, the cats, and the bears. The Druids of the Flame, they're similar to regular druids, only loyal to Ragnaros the Fire Lord, and
Major
empowered by
Domo.
him. They do look pretty similar, except, you know, they're on fire. Now another that underwent a transformation like
Dude, that fire cat form was sick.
that was Illidan's Stormrage, only he became more demonic over time, with horns instead of antlers, demon wings instead of regular wings, and hooves instead of bare paws. His eyes were burned out by Sargeras, but while teaching his demon hunter ways to other night elves and blood elves, they too showed similar transformations, and they gouged out their own eyes at the truth of the worlds. The truth of the threat of the Burning Legion. They could not bear seeing it.
I have sacrificed everything. What have you given?
Once the War of the Ancients was over, the Night Elves, they were not exactly keen on magic, and they decided to make it punishable by death. Some amongst the Highborn that had stepped away from their queen and joined the resistance. They actually refused to give up what they saw as their birthright, and since there were so many of them, they decided to banish them rather than execute. Led by Duframar Sunstrider, they took a vial of water from the original Well of Eternity, and they set out to create a new kingdom of Quel'Thalas. After being exiled from the Well of Eternity, the Highborn, they began to feel the effects of aging and disease. Their skin had even lost its violet hue, and they had begun to shrink in stature. The Highborn feared that the effects would only worsen over time, but luckily they were able to find a place to call home, and they made a new well, which they named the Sunwell.
PPC.
Danta, thank you for the 5 months. Appreciate it. I guess it's okay. I'm not a fan of how like trolls became night elves and night elves became this. I wish they had their own like backstory.
After making their well, the Highborn abandoned the traditional worship of the moon. Instead, they were taking their strength.
Look how night elf look like trolls, bro. Trolls Warcraft 2. I've been playing Battle.net games for a while. This does not look like a night elf, man.
Let's go, boys. There it is.
That
Good.
bozo does not look like a night elf, man. Glad to thank you for the 10-month. Appreciate it.
After making their well, the Highborn abandoned the traditional worship of the moon. Instead, they were taking their strength from the sun. In time, they would be known as the High Elves or the Quel'Thalas, which means High Elves in Thalassian. So the High Elves, they would chill in the kingdom for quite some time, until the rise of the Scourge and Arthas, returning home as a Death Knight. He set out to resurrect Kel'Thuzad, using the powers of the Sunwell to do so, which corrupted the Fount of Power, and Quel'Thalas was sacked. Prince Kilfa Sunstrider was not home during the attack, but when he returned, he declared that they had to put this misery behind them. We must enter a new chapter. And so
Dude, this Kel'Thas model was the best one from HOTS. The one they made in TBC was so clapped, I hated it.
I say to you that as of this day, we are no longer High Elves. In honor of the blood that was shed throughout this kingdom. In honor of the sacrifices of our brothers and sisters, our parents and our children. In honor of Anastarian. As of this day, we will take the name of a royal lineage. As of this day, we are the Sindorai.
The Sindorai will prevail!
Sindorai, that means children of the blood in Thalassian. But more than just their name changed, it was the whole way of life. Arthas' actions had corrupted their Fount of Power, and their leaders, they had no other choice but to destroy it. They become quite addicted to the Sunwell though, and being cut off from it, you see the pattern here amongst the elves, being cut off from it did not really feel great. They learned how to drain magic from objects and creatures. Even fell magic was absorbed, that delicious fell magic, which turned the ice green. Some amongst them actually refused to follow this path, and they were kicked out of their city, while others, they went a little too far with their magical addiction, losing themselves completely, and they became wretched. Some amongst the Blood Elves,
I
they
went
joined
there
the Prince
so much to get the orb. Is it Orb of Sindorai? I forgot. The orb that turns into a blood elf. And there was also a really good trinket to get there.
Kilfa Sunstrider in the quest of claiming vengeance.
And the
for what
White
Arthas
Hawk
done to the
Strider.
kingdom.
I did get
This
it
quest,
eventually.
It took them to Northrend, in which they tried to stop him from merging with Ner'zhul. As we know, they failed that quest, to which a large portion of the forces, they followed Illidan back to Outland, but some of them remained behind. Scattered across the frozen waste, they were picked off one by one, but they would not go down
What
without
is
a
this?
fight.
I don't remember. I don't remember this.
One amongst them, Lanafel, she wielded the mighty blade Quel'Thalar, yet not even the blade of legend was able to hold its ground against Frostmourne. Arthas took her life and chose her to serve him on death as queen of the Sand Lane, the Darkfallen, a vampiric race of elves. Now during the Burning Crusade, we discovered that Prince Kil'Thas had allied himself with the Legion, and some amongst his people, his most loyal followers, they were rewarded by Kil'jaeden with the gift of demonic blood. On top of the green eyes, they now also displayed various demonic features like horns, wings, unnatural skin and hair colors. Now Kilphas himself, he would also undergo quite a physical transformation after they brought him back to life with a crystal in his chest, but I don't think that is considered an actual elf evolution, just a single case. Yet the ending of the Burning Crusade, that would be the salvation of the Blood Elves, as their son, well, that would be restored with the...
Chad, did Blizzard do Keltos dirty, yes or no? I think they did him dirty. I used to love that character. But they made him into such a soy character, I think. I think they did him dirty. Keltos was a badass character from what I remember, but... And WoW... I feel like every cool character in Warcraft becomes a clown in World of Warcraft for us to just kill. Or they're like our little side dish. Yeah, I think they just wanted us to beat them up, so they made up like crazy lore so we get to beat them up. Just like Rexar, yeah, Rexar's just in the dirt. Rexar was the coolest character, man.
Horde van Naru, which infused their well with a little bit of holy power. We always knew that the fell corruption, which turned the ice green, it was going to vanish over time, making them seem like high elves again. Now with their well having a touch of holy, instead of going back to the regular blue color, their eyes are going to turn yellow. From a gameplay perspective, that's just a smart way to keep the race distinct from each other, but also giving it a lore reason. Yet holy would not be the path for all of them though, as Magister Umbric and his followers, they started to research and dive further into the void. They were exiled for their studies, but this wouldn't stop them. Their journey, it followed the research of Darkan Dravir all the way to the Logres Rift, right into a trap which was set by Nether Prince Durzan. Thankfully, Illyria Windrunner, former high elf that already found her own way into the void, she was there to save them, prevent them from falling completely to the maddening whispers of the void. She will show them the way of controlling these dark powers that are shunned by most, and the Rendorai, or the Void Elves, they will join her and the Alliance.
Use the lessons I have taught you to maintain control. Become a weapon for the Alliance, even as you skirt the edge of darkness.
Arthas taking out Quel'Thalas, that did not happen without opposition from the elves. We had Sylvanas Windrunner that got under Arthas' skin so much that he decided to turn her into a banshee and enslave her to his will. She would find her opportunity to break free and recover her body, becoming a Dark Ranger, with others following
I think Blizzard did Sylvanas dirty too. I used to like Sylvanas a lot,
her lead.
but I started hating her from WoW.
Interestingly enough, we
Like,
hear from
she was such a cool character, but dude, Blizzard keeps ruining everyone.
Dark Ranger Velonara that it was actually Sylvanas herself who pulled her back from beyond and damned her soul into her service, something that actually lines up with the information from the Warcraft RPG. And I think that's just about all the elf evolutions that we have. But like I
Shadowland
said,
made
I might very
Sylvanas embarrassing. Like,
well have missed a few. I really did my best. Now, as a final note, we do have half-breeds, which are elves
It
mixing with
sucks.
other races, or specifically one race, the humans. A well-known example, that would be Arator the Redeemer, the son of the human Turelian and the High Elf, now Void Elf, Illyria Windrunner. High Elf Verisa Windrunner, she got together with the human mate Ronin, and they had twin sons called Jaladin and Shidamar.
Ronin,
Sylvanas Windrunner, she got together with Nephanos and had beautiful zombie babies. Oh. Wait,
did they? No, they didn't.
didn't happy I did it. Oh, my bad. Right then, the first guardian Elodai, he was also said to be a half-elf, but we have no idea who his parents were.
Oh, stay away from those crooked elves that look like women and they smell like elves. So if you take my sound advice, keep a distance of at least 10 feet.
Thank you ever so much for making this request. It was a lot of fun to sit down and make the list, actually see the similarities between the elf and storylines. If you have more, then by all means, send in your suggestions. Right then, as always, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like the
there it
videos.
is.
Leave a like if you
4
enjoyed this
years
one.
ago.
And
Story
until
of
next time,
evolution
guys.
of elf lore.
See ya!
I still don't like that trolls became elf. I think that's stupid.